Good evening. This morning I read the headline that Diego Maradona, the famous Argentinian football player, had passed away. And what struck me was the headline said the words 3 days of national mourning in Argentina for this football star. Argentina's president Alberto Fernandez said the following: Diego was Argentina in the world. He gave us joy and we will never be able to repay him for so much joy. Mr. Fernandez issued a decree of 3 days of national mourning. This headline disturbed me. And of course, we wish only good things for the family. But despite being a great football player, we know that this particular man ended his career after a failed drug test in the 1994 World Cup. He was banned from football in 1991 after testing positive for drugs. Is this a person that Argentina needs to revere and nationally mourn? I think as a Jew who looks through the eyes of the world and the events in the world using the lens of Torah for our clarity, for our moral compass, for our guide, what exactly is going on over here? Over the last 20 years or so, there is a phenomenon that has become even greater than it was in past decades. And that is the phenomenon of celebrities. It's become huge. I remember the Rabbi Efren Goldberg penned a piece many years ago where he told the story that he was waiting to board a plane when somebody walked past him. And he then noticed that people were beginning to approach him, ask for autographs, to take a picture with him. So he asked someone, "Who is this guy?" He said, "You don't know who that guy is? That guy is Jeremy Wade." Who's Jeremy Wade? He is the extreme fisherman, the host of Discovery's channel, River Monsters. And then this guy went and he joined the line to take a picture with this guy. And then posted on Facebook. And thereby prove to the world that he too was a somebody by association of knowing this guy. So extreme is this obsession that there is now a website called celebforaday.com. You can look it up. It's a service that offers non-famous people a chance to experience life as a celebrity for a few hours. It'll cost you a few $1,000s, but the company will arrange to have a mock paparazzi follow you, to take pictures of you, to call out your name as you come out of restaurants and you come out of the shopping centers. There are pranks that were sent round recently in the last few years of people getting out of a car pretending to be some famous pop star or celebrity. And those in the stunt in the area begin to call out his name as if he was a famous star. They suddenly take pictures with him, and then out of nowhere, people begin to throng towards this guy to take selfies, to take autographs from this man or this woman. All because they saw a fake paparazzi snapping away. They have no idea who this person is. But it didn't matter because he was purportedly famous. And we want to attach ourselves to that. What's going on? Why the infatuation? What is it that kicks in when we see someone famous that we must take a picture of him or her, or we must interact with that person? There's an author by the name of Larry Dobrov who suggests the following: that being in the presence of someone who matters is emotionally validating. And a memento of that encounter posted on Facebook, he says, is the social currency of our time. Someone who matters. How do we define that? Rabbi Goldberg asks, does someone, appearing in television or in the films, in the movies, automatically mean that you matter? Does having a great athletic ability translate into something that matters? If you've got millions of followers on Twitter or Facebook, does that mean you matter? And today's headline, does being a great football player mean that you matter? What does it mean to matter? Perhaps this is an answer that we can really resonate at this time of the year as we approach the holiday of Chanuka. For many years, the location of where we lit the menorah was outside of the home, by the doorpost. And that's how it was for centuries. Many years ago, the Ramah in Krakow, Moshe Isserlist, He codified the law for Ashkenazic Jewry, particularly at the time, that when danger prevailed, the halacha Jewish law allows you to light the menorah inside the house. The Chatam Tofer 200 years ago, Rabbi Moshe Sofer, he asked, why do we still light the house nowadays? Why do we still light the menorah nowadays where really it's often completely safe to light it outside? What exemption are we relying on today? His answer is penetrating. The light of the menorah, like in the temple, symbolized Torah. But not only did it symbolize Torah, it symbolized the timeless lessons, the teaching, the values of Torah. Torah dispels the darkness and illuminates the world with its timeless messages and values and ideals. So in times gone by, in the past, where the Jewish home was pure, where the Jewish home was an insulated place, whose entire identity was formed by the Torah. So then years ago, the menorah was placed outside the home because we wanted to illuminate the darkness outside our homes to dispel foreign influences from penetrating into our homes. But today in 2020, more than ever, foreign influences have made their way into Jewish homes. All of us have smartphones. We have access to the web. And as great as these devices are, they sometimes bring with them powerful images, ideas, perhaps various forms of temptation. The Chatam Sofer, echoing this idea, says that now that this darkness has come into our homes, and he was speaking about 200 years ago, it is a time of danger. Not necessarily going back to what he says of anti-Semitism, but more of assimilation. And therefore we light our candles inside the home. Friends, our infatuation with music superstars, our obsession with celebrities, are mistaking people who make the headlines for people who matter, are symptoms of darkness. Who are our celebrities? Who are those that really, truly, deeply matter in a meaningful way? It's the great Torah scholars of today and of yesteryear. It's of righteous men and women of impeccable moral character. Our obsession should be with the real heroes, like the members of the IDF, or Holocaust survivors who are the moral compass of our age, or people who exude kindness daily, honest people who work tirelessly for their families, so that their children can just receive a Jewish education. People who work on the front line, particularly in the last 8 months. Healthcare workers, Hatzalah, teachers, and the list goes on and on. Sure, they don't make the headlines. They aren't followed by a paparazzi. But they are leading lives that are deeper, meaningful, and truly matter. And being able to say that we know them, or having a picture with them, should be the social currency of our Jewish community. Sure, you know what, our kids, they all know about Tom Cruise. They all know about Lionel Messi. They all know about Ellen DeGeneres. But have we made sure that our kids, as Rabbi Goldberg says and points out beautifully, know the name Rabbi Noach Murov? A man who a few years ago purchased a desk on Craigslist for $200. And he took it apart to fit into a tight space. And inside the back of the desk, he found close to $100,000 in cash. And he immediately called the previous owner to tell them they found it. She was so speechless. She later wrote in a thank you note, "I don't think there are too many people in this world that would have done what you did by calling me." And the family brought their children to return the money to teach them the message of integrity and honesty. Or a man by the name of Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segal, one of my favorite stories of all time, the famous Manchester Rosh Hashiva of blessed memory, when traveling from Manchester to London, moved to first class because he couldn't deal with the noise and he wanted to study, hoping that the ticket attendant would come by and he'll pay the difference. He arrives in London Euston. Nobody came up to him to ask him for his ticket. He goes up to the ticket office. He says, "Here's my ticket. I've just arrived. I'd like to pay the difference. I paid for second class. I went into first class the entire journey. What's the difference?" They are looking up at the computer. "Sir, you're already here." "No, you don't understand. I went into first class." He said, "You're here. Nobody came. Don't worry about it." He looked the person in the eyes and his student standing next to him and said, excuse me, is this your company? She said, no, I just work for them. She said, I'm not leaving here until I pay the difference. They couldn't work out in the system how that money should be paid. But he refused to leave until they had to call a manager, and there was a whole discussion. Eventually he paid the money, and as he walked away, this attendant turned to the other person standing next to him and said, you see that man? That man is not even 1 in a million. We need to teach our children to celebrate people like Rabbi Segal or this family Murov. Inspire them to become tomorrow's celebrities, not by hiring paparazzi of become a celebrity for the day.com, or even by becoming famous, but by becoming people that truly matter, living lives of deep meaning, ethics, and morality, upholding the values of Torah. Shabbat Shalom.